Hi everyone, my name is Lids. I am your money mentor online. Today I want to talk to you about something really personal. Something that I had to do that just took the breath away from me. I had to review my budget, guys. And as someone who talks to people online, who advises people all the time about money, it was painful. It really, really hurt to go through this, guys. So anyways, stick with me to the end of the video so I can show you what I did and how it affected me. It wasn't easy, but I think it's something that I want to be vulnerable today and just share with you and explain to you how I had to go through this process and why. Okay, let's get started. So, what brought me to the place where I needed to actually review my budget? Well, the math wasn't mathing. I took a look at what was leaving my account and what was staying in my account and all the expenses that had gone up, and I was like, okay, what was on paper is not working anymore. And so my husband and I sat down and we had a budget meeting. It wasn't fun because we had to talk about a lot of things. We had to discuss where money was going, and it was a conversation that I find always uncomfortable to do. So if you're doing this by yourself, you're actually quite lucky because you don't have to have a meeting per se. This is a meeting with yourself, I guess. But with us discussing that, we had to look, where was the money going? So we sat down and we took a look. And the first thing I'm going to say is, if we didn't know where we were previously, we wouldn't know that things had changed. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but it's important to understand. Understand what your bills are today, so that if there is an increase in your direct debit, you see it, you know when it happens. And that was the first place that we were at. We looked at the fact that prices had gone up pretty significantly, and we were experiencing this. So I'm going to give you a few ideas of some of the prices that went up and how much they were. So our mortgage, for example, went up by £200. Yeah, that's how I felt. The mortgage went up by £200. Our life insurance went up by about £15. Our car insurance went up by about £15. Our water went up by about £10. And my phone bill went down. That was the only thing that went down. And that was purely because I finished paying off a phone. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that was quite a bit of an adjustment that we had to go through. So in total, I think we're looking at about maybe £250 added to our budget, just like that. Okay? And it kind of hurts because you see these things, and we're not even talking about things like food. We're not even talking about fuel. And because we work from home, it's a little bit easier for us, so we don't have to drive around a lot. But for people who have to pay transportation, who have to buy additional food, we have one person who went to uni, so food actually went down in our household. But still, those are costs that we all are bearing and we're all seeing today. So we went through that and we analyzed those costs, and we realized that that was how much our budget went up by. In total, not including the other things that I just mentioned, but in total, it was really about £250 to £300 that our budget was hit by, just by the cost of living crisis. Now, if you don't understand what a cost of living crisis is, I'm going to put a video here that I did recently where I addressed what the cost of living crisis is and how it's affecting people like everyone else. Middle class, lower class, upper class, doesn't matter where you are in life. Everyone's being hit by the cost of living crisis, so I've explained it down here. So, during our budget review, we sat down and we discussed the changes, we analyzed the differences, so we knew exactly what was missing, what that gap was between our old budget and our new budget. And once we had discussed that, we wrote down an updated budget. So, we had to go back to our spreadsheet and outline everything that had changed, and it just made sense to be able to not just change the number, but document what that change was, so you know exactly that, okay, what used to be £80 is now £100, etc. And that puts you in a place where you know exactly what your adjustment is and what you need to add or how you need to tweak your life so that your budget will work for you. What I don't recommend, guys, is burying your head in the sand. And that probably happened to me maybe for at least a couple of months where I was thinking, okay, the account looks different, but okay, we can get by. But that's not how it works. Needing to understand what that changes is so important. We can't be ostriches when it comes to our money, guys. It's painful to look at this, but it's the truth. If you're an ostrich, at some point it will come back to bite you. Okay, so take the time, understand exactly what your changes are financially. And the next thing that we did was that we decided to figure out how to fill the hole, the gap in between what we used to have on our budget and what we have now on the budget. So it's quite normal. There are a few things that you could do. First of all, you could cut back. Now, I'll be honest with you, we have cut back as far as we can go. So it's not a simple process. If you know, for example, that you're spending extra money here or there, or you're eating out a little bit more, maybe you could cook at home or something like that. But cutting back is probably the fastest and easy way to do this. The second thing is maybe to increase your hours if you are working hourly. That gives you the ability to earn a little bit more, even though the taxman will have their piece, unfortunately. But it puts you in a position where you have a little addition as far as your income is concerned. And the third one is to reduce savings. Okay, so if, for example, you're saving X amount of money and your budget has gone up by that amount, you should be able to consider reducing your savings so that you are able to continue to live on what you make. And last but not least, my favorite, of course, is adding a side hustle. If you have something that you can do that could actually benefit you and bring income into your household, consider doing that so that you can actually make your budget work. So those are 4 areas that we looked into, and we decided to pick one, which was to reduce savings, and that helped us to be able to adjust our budget and make it work for us. So during that process, there was lots of debate, there was lots of discussion, and we needed to be able to address where we needed to, why we needed to do what we did. There was lots of debate, but it brought a lot of clarity. Okay, it brought clarity to our situation, and it enabled us to focus on making a decision as to how we're going to address this hole in our budget. So why do I recommend that everyone does this? I'll be honest with you. Everyone has seen increases in costs. So I remember in December 2022, so remember how the Russian-Ukrainian war started, and we all saw our gas bills jump up, right? This was something that we saw and we knew was going to happen, but we didn't expect it to be the way it was. My gas and electric bill tripled during that time. That was pretty significant. So we know when changes happen to our budget, but our place is to make sure that we address them and don't bury our heads in the sand. So an ostrich, unfortunately, would not learn from this situation, but we're not ostriches, guys. We are humans who are intelligent and we are financially literate. So what I want to encourage every one of us to do is go through this painful experience. Do what you have to do to be able to understand the changes in your money, be able to understand the differences that you're experiencing, and be able to understand if you have a gap that needs to be filled, and then make a decision as to how you're going to fill this gap. Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't easy, but we got it done. And at the end of it, we were able to say, okay, this is what we're going to cut back on. This is how much we're going to spend on this. This is how we're going to adjust that. And guys, it made me sleep a little bit better at night. So, because it gave me clarity, take the right steps to actually make sure that you know where you're going. So I hope this helped somebody. I ask only 3 things of you before I leave. The first one is that you like this video, that you subscribe to our channel, and of course that you share this video with someone else who is living in a cost of living crisis, as we all are. I hope this helps, and I'll see you on the next one.